I think Emily.
Dewe naik ke maraton juga deh, kemun. Ya.
Alright.
Are you aware the Sony phone will expire? Are you facing? No, I'm asking you. Nivalabela manager aware. Xin'wana na xin'wana lexi nga na IT u fanekele ku tsutsumisa. Loko se u khale ka police i ta ku hlamulela na network managers lawa. What's camera? Even if the phone you go block. Tish. Tish. Kanya ka Sonic Wall iwe malingis. Kanya ka Sonic Wall iwe. Kanya ka Sonic Wall iwe. I'm telling you, move through. Because you must stop calling man room not his friend. I want to capture the honorable the speaker.
It is.
I don't like it though, Maria. I don't like it. Chicha against two.
She first.
Sure.
But it's not staying.
Tie there, down there. Yeah. When you move, what's happening? Because you can see it's because this is not stable.
Which one would be you got it, so you can see it.
I don't know what happened. I'll figure it out.
Okay, I wouldn't be able to see.
Each of it, it's gone.
What do you mean?
It's a million. What do you think? You look at it.
Yeah, I connected it on and out. Ne? Yeah, so you must just check.
Give on. Yo,
I've never used this connection.
I'm not understanding. No, the shoes are not my problem. The dress is. It's low, Mona.
Let me tell you something.
That's the problem.
You look so nice. Today, Baba Dumela.
I feel.
And I see even in low light, I mean, your own eyes of 2,500 and it still looks reconnecting the SDI out.
So this one has 2 outs. Oh. How could you tell? Does that like... Oh, it's written here. Oh. No, it's like I like the kitchen. Are you getting something?
The Honorable the Speaker. Honorable members, for today, we do not have the luxury of having any of our presiding officers. Now, if a situation like that presents itself in the House, the standing rules and orders of this House states that the Secretary shall supervise the election of one of the members of the legislature to preside over the seat. Accordingly, we would like to invoke Rule 17, Sub-Rule 3 of the Standing Rules and Orders of this House to afford members of this legislature to elect one among its members as the Speaker of the day. I would request the members to be seated for now so that we will proceed with the proceedings of electing. I would right away call for a nomination for the person who will preside over this sitting. The Honorable Chief Whip. Thank you for the nomination. Any seconder? Honorable Pala.
Thank you very much, the Secretary of the Legislature. I rise to second the nomination of Honorable Kanyane Rodasima to act as the Speaker of this provincial legislature of Luboko today, the 28th of March 2022. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have further nominations.
We would like to nominate Honorable Rudolph Pala as the Speaker of the House.
Okay. Now we come to the point where we ask the nominees if they accept the nominations or not.
There are no nominees.
The name of Honorable Bala therefore falls off, and therefore it means that we have one nominee. The member to come and vote.
Thanks very much, honorable members. Let me take this opportunity to welcome the Brussels Sokas House of the Limpopo Provincial Legislature for this sitting on the 29th of March 2022. In terms of item number 2, are there any motions without notice in terms of the rule 145 of the standing rule of the Sokas House? Honorable Mishara.
Greetings, Speaker, greetings, Premier, MECs, colleagues, and staff. I rise on behalf of the EFF to move without notice that the House knows the EFF Limpopo is disappointed by the state of Olufane Game Reserve. It is clear that safe component of the game reserve has been neglected for decades. The game reserve has a pool of dedicated employees who are passionate about preserving the good state and history of the game reserve. The game reserve is regarded as one of the biggest game reserves to be owned by the municipality in South Africa. It comprises of game rides and overnight accommodation that is traumatic to sleep in with a 20-kilometer hiking trail. The game reserve is a home to 21 animal species as well as rare white rhino, which has been relocated to Waterberg at an expense due to poachers entering the game reserve. A number of species are facing extinction, and game reserves are cornerstone for preserving such species of animals, thus creating a balance in our ecosystem. The rangers are passionate about their job and have great time with people on the grain drive only issue was lack of ranger tools such as guns, binoculars, and high-rise overlooking that there's a serious problem of poachers who make their way by damaging the surrounding fence. The fixtures, fittings, and furnitures of the chalets are ancient, flat and one-bed mattresses and prison cell standards placed on shabby wooden legs with very oozing cigarette smells no one can withstand for 15 minutes. You will soon to see what the whole cupboard has in store for you as a guest blankets from here. I doubt guests will return to this place after paying so much a traumatic experience. The game reserve has serious economic potential to generate revenue for the city of Polokwane. Only if renovations can be carried out on the carport, replacing the worn-out furnitures of the chalet, not necessarily to give it a modern image, as the look can be kept nostalgic or relevant to the bush experience, but can be topped up with new clean furniture. Therefore, the EFF calls for more structured support to be given to Polokwane Game Reserve, which will continue to serve as a primary protection and corridor and conservation of wildlife biodiversity. I so move.
Thanks very much, Honorable Member. Is there any second for the motion, Honorable Adel?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I, Honorable Adel, stand to second the motion as presented by Honorable Speaker.
Thanks very much. Are there any other motions without notice? Honorable Pala. Honorable Marcel Boyoka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise on behalf of the GA that this House notes and welcomes the Protea women's cricket team against the India on Sunday in their progression in the Cricket World Cup tournament. The women's team successfully chased down the second highest total in the history of the ICC Women's Cricket World Cup to knock India out of the competition. The Proteas women have now qualified for the World Cup semi-finals after a strong showing that saw them finish 7th out of the group. With determination and plenty of application, the Proteas could face Australia in the next semi-final and go on to win the whole tournament. Honorable Speaker, we need to acknowledge this impressive performance by these ladies and develop women's cricket here in Limpopo so that we contribute more to future women's cricket squads.
Thanks very much, Honorable Member. Is there any second for the motion without notice? Honorable Maharaj.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I, Richard Maharaj, hereby stand to second the motion as read by Honorable Park.
Thanks very much. The motion is seconded. Honorable Maseko.
Listen.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, the Premier, members of the Executive Council, members. I rise on behalf of the ANC in this August House to demonstrate our full support, but looks set to ensure compliance within this sector. There are calls, Honorable Speaker, we hear by certain quotas within the country that has made in their business to protest that what Minister and the Department are doing. This is ridiculous, as those who are making this call are actually against the Minister's efforts to restore the function of weather control and management, who enjoy making this country their playground. It is for this reason, Honorable that we want to send an unequivocal support to the Minister and his team of dedicated officials who want to redeem South Africa's sovereignty and make it its borders to work again. As a province, we also have a role to play and effect laws and ordinances that will regulate the business sector and ensure compliance. I so move.
Thanks very much, Honorable Maseko. Is there any second to the motion? Honorable Phala.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'd like to second the motion as led by Honorable Maseko.
Honorable Maseko, the EFC is being seconded by Honorable Phala. Thanks very much, Honorable Chief.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, and also on behalf of the ANC, that this House knows the achievement of a young South African named Nagin II Malahlela, who was awarded with the prestigious 40 Under 40 Africa Award in Ghana, Accra, over the past weekend. Nagin II Malahlela is an entrepreneur from Mambweni Global, who is the president of the newly formed club called Football Club. He was nominated in the sport category of the prestigious 40 Under 40 Africa Awards and became the winner after beating contestants from other parts of the continent. We congratulate Mr. Malahlela for this great feat, and we are calling upon the young people of this province to emulate shining examples like him, to become inspirations and influences in our societies. I so do.
Thanks very much, Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party. Is there any second to the motion? Honorable Salai, Honorable Salam.
Honorable Speaker, I stand with the rest of the President to second motion was read by the Chief.
Thanks very much, Honorable Salam. Are there any notices of motion in terms of House Rule 147 from the state rules of this August House? None. Are there any statements by members as Rule 2000, Honorable Magana?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Premier, Honorable MECs present here today, members of the Council, good morning. The Department of Transport and Community Safety is fueling violence in taxi industry. Honorable Speaker, the Department of Transport and Community Safety continues to fuel tension and killing among taxi associations in the province. Instead of resolving any challenges that the taxi industry is faced with, they are part of the problem, and it is clear with their action that they enjoy the part they play in creating animosity among our people. In 2019, the High Court of South Africa in Global Division in Dubai held a matter between the LTT Messina Taxi Association and Bay Bridge Taxi Association on the issue of goods and operating license. The court order went in favor of the LTT Statistics Association. The court ruling and order on this matter, which we had in our position, was that the department must make sure that decision of the court is implemented and complied with. The court order further directed that the fourth respondent, which is the Bedroom States Association, is interdicted and harassing, threatening, and assaulting applicant, which is the LTT Statistics Association. Honorable Speaker, as we speak, the department has not implemented or followed through the court order, and our people continue to fight. The department committed itself in many meetings held between themselves and the Taxi Association, as reflected in the minute at our disposal, that they will comply with the court order, but nothing happened. Officials like Peter Mangwala, Daniel Alzi, Pesingala, and Gotik Emily decided to sit on the matter despite many commitments made to comply with the court order. And because of this labor's fair leadership style in the department, the former chairperson of LTT Musinga, Mr. Samuel Chikongo, was killed in an execution style. The police had the number plate of the car of the killers, but to date, no one has been arrested. The case number of this matter is 49/2/2020. The taxi industry is the most troubled, and yet the department is doing nothing. Anything about it, especially in terms of providing large solutions. Just like the recent incident that happened in R18 between Thornhill and North of the North. We call upon the agency of the Department of Transport to comply with the court order and further make sure that the case of killing of Mr. Chifambo is finalized and perpetrators are arrested. I thank you.
Thanks very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Pala.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on Friday, the 25th March 2022, we saw the Mountain Taxi Association blockade of Munich Avenue, the RH1 and R71, in retaliation to an operation brought by the Social Taxi Association. Commuters, private transportation users were badly affected, and the traffic flow in Polokwane was a nightmare. During the blockade and protest, 2 vehicles were banned in Polokwane City, and gunshots were fired, endangering and traumatizing the lives of the public. As a result, Honorable Speaker, Polokwane Municipality temporarily suspended its theatre services today. Honorable Speaker, the department said through their media liaison that the issue is a long-standing issue that they have tried to resolve in the past, that even led to the closure of the taxi rank. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Agency of Transport and Community Safety must please inform the House why this issue has not been solved and what are the nature of the challenges experienced. What measures will be put into place to prevent future occurrences? That the MEC must also take this House into confidence and ensure that the public disruption we saw last week will not occur in the future.
Thanks very much, Honorable Pala. Any other statement before I can request?
Today's leader of the opposition, Mr. Mhlala,
and honorable members in the House. COGSTA must stop emotional abuse against the elderly. Honorable Speaker, the EFF in Limpopo province is disturbed by the continuation of ANC government to disservice and embarrass our people, especially senior citizens. Services by government is selective and have eyes, whereas those who deserve RPP houses are being overlooked in favor of friends and family members of ANC politicians. Mage Munatelo Lillian, age 65 years, stay at Hobo Village, Ward 29 of Greater Letaba Municipality, under Mopani District Municipality. Suffered the humiliation after waiting for an RPP house for many years. Member who stayed in a 2-roomed house with her 3 grandchildren applied for an RPP house for many years. In 2020, her happiness was short-lived when contractors sent by municipality delivered housing material and that foundation. To her surprise, the contractor later came to collect all housing materials, only left the riverside and opened foundation without explanation. Only the heartless and non-caring government would do this to an old, deserving woman who put all her hopes in government to bring about health in it. It is patently that ANC government lost its moral ground to lead society. The unemployment rate among youth is higher than before. Senior citizens' RPPs houses are being withdrawn without explanation. General service delivery has collapsed in the Congo. The EFF calls upon the embassy for COGSTA and Mayor of Greater Letaba Municipality to restore the dignity of Memage by building a proper house in commemorating the Sharpeville massacre. The EFF government shall, through the State Housing Construction Company, improve the quality and size of low-cost houses rather than depending on money wasting scheme tendering. I thank you.
Thanks very much, Honorable Magani. Can we call upon the MEC responsible for transport and community safety to respond on the embassy? And also the MEC who is standing in for the MEC for outside.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to the Honorable Premier, the colleagues in the executive, members of this House, our chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, the Chief Whip, and all honorable members. Honorable Speaker, let me welcome the issues that have been raised. And I think the honorable member said it correctly that they are individuals. It's just that in this instance, my colleague, the honorable member, pointed to the department, but I think she should have gone further to indicate that there are members in the community that have well intentions. and we are aware as the security cluster that there are activities by different political parties to want to control the taxi industry, but we are not yet sure if those members of the political parties are owning taxis. Those ones that do not have licenses, but it continues to be a matter of interest to us with the state security to investigate, because you'll remember the tension is not starting now. From the last time we discovered that members are having interest who are leaders of political parties. I'm taking you into confidence as requested by the member to say that in relation to the High Court of LTT and Bedbridge, the alluded to members, I'm happy because my honorable member can even quote the people that were facilitating those meetings, which is my office, the acting HOD and the team. I can confirm that we also have the team from SAPS that works on that road and the National Traffic Police. In relation to the High Court, Honorable Speaker, the LTT Association felt that the Department of Transport should have traffic cops sitting at the taxi rank, which is not correct in terms of how we translated the court order. Our responsibility is to make sure that the correct people are operating in that taxi rank, and that is being done every morning by the team. We have got a dedicated team that works on that part of the road in Musina, the team that comprises of the police and other teams and the traffic officials and other teams that are working on that issue. We had 3 meetings with the association itself to try and communicate the court order in the correct way, because there is no way that the police and the traffic can sit at the taxi rank, because they need to monitor the whole road. The other issue that is giving the LTT a problem is that when taxis go and start at Bedbridge and do not get into the taxi rank, when they find them on the road, then they say that the taxi rank was not monitored. So we cannot, in their own level, therefore, those that will stop taxis, but also it is in this house that sometimes when we stop every taxi that is on the road, we are also told we are battering business people. So you should start to understand why every taxi, as you see it on the road, the traffic official or the police will stop it, is because we need to attend to issues like this. We are not battering the business people. The second issue, I do not know, I would want to request to the honorable member, the people that lives in that community that says Mr. Samuel Chipango was killed because of the court order or the non-implication, let them go beyond what you have given us, because that is the work that we have done. We have got a case number. Give us in confidence, or giving to my office or the PC's office more information that you have that it can assist the police, because what you quoted, honorable member, is what we have given to the public and the work that we have done as a department. So we want you to assist in terms of further information. Honorable Speaker, you remember that the Act 81 and Act 71 dispute taxi violence is an ongoing thing, as the honorable member has indicated, because why, as a department, we had to revise our regulations and they were adopted, and now we are working on them to include the local municipality. It was because the department would go and give an operating license without consultation of the local municipality. So in the new regulation, the town planning section of the local municipality will have to first confirm, Honorable Speaker, if the route is existing and if the route can be viable. That is because when the town started and some of the operating licenses were given before, there were streets in Pulukwane that were two-way, and now the streets are one-way. And your permit or the route would have gone out when that street, when Progla was still two-way. And now that's why the municipality is busy revising, and they are busy with their town planning section, because the route should be determined by a person going and coming back. So before, Honorable Pala, before it meant that one taxi association from Zishiru will use a different route going to the Mall of the North, and Mampeng will use a different route. But when the town planning or the Bulugane took a decision to say this becomes one street, it means that all roads have to be revised. And that is in the process that is being done. Honorable Speaker, lastly, I need to indicate that the two leadership of both the taxi ranks, Taxi Association, Mangweng and Sishu, came out gun blazing to say they are not part of that clip that has been going around, and they are also concerned about what people are doing to use taxis. You remember that the first time Sishu taxi rank had problems in Sishu, until the Taxi Association themselves came out and said we do not want a third force. It did not stop. And we want to congratulate and thank the leadership of the taxi industry that they are continuing to work with the department. Today there's a meeting between the department, law enforcement, the taxi leadership themselves, both for Santaco and NTA and the taxi industry, to try and to check how best do we work. Also the representative of the municipality to try and check how best do we work together. And I think, like I indicated, Honorable Speaker, that is how far and the confidence that I can give to the members of this House on how we are dealing with these issues. The taxi industry itself, I think the same question was asked in the last sitting, and I did indicate that there are people that we are finding that will sell taxi certificates to people and tell them never to go to the taxi rank, but to always move on the road. So that is why our traffic officials will always stop the taxi industry. And I think an advert has been done to revise the route issue and also to accommodate new people on the R81 and R71. The first process that we do as the department responsible for transport, if the associations that have been given a taxi rank, they are not dealing with what is agreed upon on what they've signed for, the first thing will be to close that taxi rank so that then we can save the lives of the people. Because even if we keep on saying people need to use this taxi rank, but the people are being killed or being threatened, it does not work. So the first thing we'll have to close the taxi rank. And I think I've tried to answer the questions that have been alluded to. Thank you. I'm not sure my other colleague will come and deal with the computer issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable MEC. Honorable MEC, Abu Koli.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, my colleagues, the Executive Council, members of the August House, I'm going to deal with two issues. Placement issues of the first issue is about the game reserve for the world. We want to take note of the issues that have been raised. I think we raise the relevant municipality and we also unite with them. We take in cognizance the usefulness of the game reserve in Group 1 because if you check in the province, that's the only town which has a game reserve next to the city. So we always, when it is not working, personally I'll check, because I always go there, I was not aware of the issue that you are raising, because there's always speaking, like the research there. The only thing which was the issue was about the rights, but we need to check what we are trying to raise. On the issue of cops, let's agree that obvious when in the house they are scrupulous contractors that get given projects they abandon the project. And if what you are saying about the old lady, Mrs. Martin, who was doing the project, but the same ANC government that we're talking about, you have to show that the ANC has given the person a house, and somebody who doesn't care, who doesn't understand what is the purpose of what was decided to steal the material. We regret that. We will make sure that we know that we also have a backlog. And all this is in an endeavor that all people must have houses, as the Freedom Charter says, that there shall be houses. So for us, it is not because we are doing it for fun, we are doing it because we understand our mission, and we will make sure that they deal with this issue. And we will report back to the House. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sitting Pony. Item number 5. Are there any executive statements as per Rule 201? None. Are there any tabling of committee reports or other reports and papers? Honorable members? None. Let's go straight to the orders of the day. 7.1, second reading, presentation of the budget books and schedule of the Improper Appropriation Bill 2022 EU1 2022 Presiding Officer as per me. Let me take this opportunity, Honorable Premier, Honorable members of the Executive Council, the leader of the Government Business, chairpersons of the portfolio committees, the chief whip of the majority party, members of this August House, allow me to call upon the Honorable Premier of Limpopo Province, Honorable Chukwuemeka Matala, to present the budget speech for Group 1 of the Office of the Premier. Over to you, Honorable Premier.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Members of the Executive Council, Chief Whip of the ruling party, chairpersons of various portfolio committees, esteemed members of the House, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It was about a month ago when I stood in this hallowed chamber and in front of the people of Limpopo to outline the plans of our government for the year ahead. I did this through our cherished tradition of the State of the Province Address. As we all know, the State of the Province Address is an important platform through which we outline the progress on government commitments made in the previous year. We also use this platform to highlight challenges and to commit ourselves to solving such challenges afflicting our province. As part of our tradition, SOPA is also used to outline government's plans and programs for the year ahead and beyond. These are the plans and programs designed to propel us to a desired destination of a better life for all. as this ANC government, we tailor our plans and programs to drive and direct our progress to the promise of our Constitution, the promise of equity and equality, the promise of social security, the promise of dignity, and indeed, the promise of prosperity. We craft our plans and programs guided by the knowledge that our people desire social development, economic growth, the creation of jobs, and the reduction of unemployment, inequality, and poverty. In this regard, we are forever conscious and alive to the fact that the people of Limpopo require and deserve reliable access to water. Our people require and deserve to enjoy access to decent sanitation facilities. They desire and deserve a guaranteed meal on the table every single day. And above all, our plans are designed to respond to the persisting challenge of crime and general insecurity. Honorable Speaker, the bold plans and programs, as announced during the very stage of the Congress address, require budgetary support in order to translate them into tangible projects with meaningful impact on the lives of our people. Today's exercise is therefore aimed at giving impetus to this program of action this government. The Office of the Premier is therefore required to provide leadership and support to the rest of the provincial administration. It is the responsibility of the Office of the Premier to coordinate the functions of the provincial administration and departments. This is done to ensure an effective implementation of the plans and programs of government. The Office of the Premier is therefore an engine that drives the entire provincial administration. The budget we are presenting here today serves as a fuel that powers this engine for optimal performance. Honorable Speaker, the Office of the Premier is organized into 3 programs, which helps to ensure that the office is able to respond effectively to this legislative mandate. These programs are corporate management, institutional development and support, and planning, coordination, monitoring, and evaluation. These programs enables the Office of the Premier to do the following: coordinate the preparation and initiation of provincial legislation, coordinate the functions of the provincial administration in its departments, manage performance of the provincial administration, and monitor and evaluate service delivery governance. Develop and oversee the implementation of policy and planning, and most importantly, to strengthen the intergovernmental and international relations. The main function of Program 1, which is corporate management, is to provide the necessary administrative support to the Premier, the Executive Council, and the Director General in fulfilling their legislative mandate, as well as the promotion of good corporate governance. Honorable Speaker, effective and efficient utilization of allocated resources is directly linked to our ability to take services to the and quality services. When it comes to financial management, the Office of the Premier has to lead by example. In the same vein, proper financial management supports service delivery and sustains the confidence of the people in their government. same vein, proper financial management supports service delivery and sustains the confidence of the people in the government. I am therefore happy to state that the Office of the Premier continues to lead when it comes to the management of allocated resources. In this regard, I am proud to report that the Office of the Premier has received yet another clean audit opinion from the Auditor General. For us, this is what leading by example means. I want to specifically acknowledge all the men and women in the Office of the Premier who worked so hard to ensure this outcome. I want to commend our senior management service for steering the ship in the right direction. Nevertheless, the office will not be complacent and relax because of this good outcome, but will instead work even harder to sustain it. In the same vein, we have a responsibility in line with our leadership and coordinating functions to make sure that all departments and entities of government follow suit. And I can guarantee you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Members, that we have started to do so. Hence, out of all of this, 70 or 50 entities, provincial entities, I think it's only two that are qualified. All are not qualified. Some are. Honorable Speaker, there can be no doubt that the inability to spend allocated resources is one of the factors that impedes service. It is for this reason that the Office of the Premier has been leading in ensuring that allocated budget is spent. In the past financial year, the office had managed to spend over 97% of its allocated budget. I am able to add that our annual financial statements were in line with established accounting standards. I can also report to this House that the Office of the Premier is doing exceptionally well when it comes to the mandate to pay our suppliers and service providers within the prescribed 8 days. As a matter of fact, during the period under review, 100% of our suppliers and service providers were paid within the prescribed period. Members would agree that paying service providers on time is vital for the financial health of small, medium, and micro enterprises because they are cash flow based. The sustainability of this SMMEs is highly dependent on us paying their invoices as and when they become due. This is very critical. It is for this reason that we are concerned about a number of other departments which are not doing well with regard to this area of payment 80 days. We will therefore be working with the provincial treasurer to ensure that all of our departments do pay invoices within the prescribed 80 days. This, ladies and gentlemen, this honorable members, is a non-negotiable ingredient and must be done. Like honorable members, with regard to our employment equity targets, the Office of the Premier is working hard to ensure the affirmation of those who were previously marginalized, especially women and people living with disabilities. With regard to the representation of women in our office, I am able to report that women makes up to 57% of the total staff management level, women continue to dominate at 51%. We are working to improve the representation of women at senior management level from the current 46% to 50 or more percent. The overall representation of people living with disabilities in the office of the Premier is at 3.6%. And this is above the 2% target as stipulated, in the employment equity legislation. We are also working to decrease the vacancy rate in the office of the Premier. We are currently at 9% vacancy rate. However, the office is still within the guidelines from the Department of Public Service and Administration, which indicates that the vacancy rate should not exceed 10%. Honorable Speaker, as I have said during the State of the Province address, we need to recognize the role played by military veterans in our struggle for freedom and democracy. The Inter-Ministerial Task Team, which I have established to deal with the lives and welfare of our military veterans, is already. Thus far, we have facilitated assistance of 447 military veterans in France regarding housing, education support, database verification, and social relief concerns. The comprehensive military veterans implementation pledge will be finalized in the first quarter of 2022-2023 financial year. We further commit ourselves to establish military veterans help desk in each department in the province during the first quarter of the same financial year. We implore on our municipalities to also do this. At the moment, the Office of the Premier is hosting the Military Veterans Secretariat as part of measures to assist the veterans in the administration of their own affairs. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the function of Program 2, which is institutional development support, is to provide efficient and effective institutional support services to the rest of the provincial government. This program is primarily concerned with the capacity and capability in the provincial administration. As the office, we appreciate the importance of public servants as the central driving force that should enable improved governance, better management of resources, and the ability to get the entire government and stakeholders to work together. This will ensure that we achieve the goals we set out in the Limpopo Development Plan. There is a close relationship between the performance of an organization and the skills capabilities of the men and women who are the helm of such an organization. This is equally true with governments, including the office of the Premier. Almost all the positions of the heads of departments, HODs, have been filled with men and women with the requisite skills and experience. The Office of the Premier has been very proactive in filling HOD positions as and when they become vacant. To date, we have commenced the recruitment process for the remaining 2 HOD vacancies for the Department of Transport, Community Safety, and Concern. In fact, if I am not mistaken, Director General and honorable members, when it comes to the Department of Transport and Community Safety, the process has been finalized. We only left Concern. able to state that all except one department have full-time appointed CFOs. Honorable members, last year, we committed to review the capacity of all the provincial departments and public entities with a view to ensure that they fulfill their development. The development literature confirms that public entities play strategic role in the economic development of any country, more especially this country of ours, which has determined or chosen or taken a particular route that says ours will be a mixed economy, where both government and the private sector will complement each other in developing our society. So your public entities becomes very critical. This assertion is equally applicable to the poor. However, our recent experience indicates that the role of public entities should be reviewed regularly. It is against this background that we have established an inter-ministerial task team on reconfiguration of these public entities. I am happy to indicate that the review process is at an advanced stage and will be concluded in the first quarter of 2022-2023 financial year. I did announce in this August House, honorable members, that as part of the oversight of provincial administration, I will enter into service delivery agreement with NECs. We have since entered into this service delivery agreements, and the process of regular assessment is continuing. In fact, honorable members, we have completed the previous financial year, where we assess all government departments, and soon we will be implementing strategic intervention measures based on the assessment. As a province, we recognize that information and knowledge supported through advanced information and communication is fundamental for the achievement of the development goals. That is particularly the case in the new emerging economies and in the context of the fourth industrial revolution. The approved 5-year Limpopo e-government strategy implementation plan lays a solid foundation for the digital transformation of the provincial administration. This provides an approach for an effective government-wide sharing of information and knowledge electronically. Perhaps I should repeat this. This provides an approach for an effective government-wide sharing of information and knowledge electronically. In realization of the government's commitment to bridge the digital divide, especially in rural communities, the office has coordinated the establishment of the Limpopo Broadband Forum. In the next 3 years, the forum will coordinate the implementation of South Africa or SA Connect project to connect government sites, schools, health facilities, two-zone service centers, and traditional authority offices. With the schools in the province benefiting from this infrastructure, it will be possible to maximize the use of digital technologies to enhance teaching and learning. This will place our children at the center of the digital revolution. Honorable Speaker, we are at an advanced stage with the review of the Limpopo Human Capital Investment Strategy. This process includes including the adoption by Executive Council, will be concluded in the first quarter of the next financial year. The purpose is to support the skills needs of provincial economy and the labor market trends with specific emphasis on agriculture, mining, tourism, and manufacturing. The focused attention will in the main be on Sida Makado Special Economic Zone, as well as other provincial growth points such as Polokwane, Lephalale, and Fitafomu. We are also delighted that the Limpopo Human Resource Development Council has been resuscitated and it is chaired by the Premier. We have also reconfigured the Limpopo Skills Development Forum, which is chaired by the Director General. We therefore appreciate the active participation of CITAS, TVET colleges, and universities in these forums. We also commit ourselves to strengthening our partnership in developing appropriate skills relevant for our economy and the fourth industrial revolution. Whilst the province has adopted its youth development strategy, our youth development machinery is not yet running very optimally. It is in this context that I have directed the Director General to put systems in place to ensure the full implementation of the strategy. Remember, these young people are our future. If we don't do that, our future is Honorable Speaker, I nearly said Honorable Speaker, as we said during the State of the Province address, the fight against crime and corruption is one of the critical priorities of this government. This is simply because, more than anything else, crime and corruption undermine society's ability to operate fairly and efficiently, including the government's ability to deliver on its mandate. We have accordingly resuscitated and reconvened the Limpopo Anti-Corruption Forum. This forum comprises of business, labor, and faith-based organizations. This is part of the many components of our anti-crime and corruption message. In the same spirit, we are finalizing consultations on the development of the Limpopo anti-corruption strategy, which will be a blueprint and a tool to help us prevent and expose corruption in all its manifestations. The Office of the Premier has established a vetting field, or a vetting field unit, which will heighten the grip in our fight our fight against corruption. This unit, in partnership with the SSA, will help to reduce the backlog on vetting of senior management and supply chain management officers. We have commissioned a number of forensic investigations, both in the provincial and municipalities, as part of our effort to fight corruption and malfeasance. In this regard, I have directed the Director General to follow up on the implementation of findings and recommendations. In the State of the Province address, we also directed that all municipalities must ensure that recommendations of their municipalities are implemented. In the same vein, Honorable Speaker, please allow me to clarify recent media reports that says, as the Premier of the province, I have done nothing to implement the recommendation of the VBS report by Advocate Jerry Mutaru and the remedial actions by the public protector, since 2018. I would want to clarify that, because that is far from it. The fact that nowhere in the report is either the Premier or a member of the Executive Council implicated wrongly for any person to insinuate that nothing has been done would amount to gross negligence of reality or objective reality. Because that is not true. Just to remind those who might have forgotten, the following actions were taken since then. Immediately after Cherino Daw's report was made public in 2018, I have specifically directed the provincial treasurer to commission a forensic audit into the matter. As a result of such audit, majority of municipal managers and CFOs who were implicated were disciplined for their role in the previous matter. All the recommendations of that forensic audit were implemented. So it can be true that we have not done anything about the previous report. In addition, 7 mayors were since relieved from their duties. If these actions do not amount to concrete expression of our resolve to fight against corruption, then I need to be advised further as to what is it that we need to do there. Because we are not law enforcement authorities like the police or whatsoever. We are an administration that implements and administers the laws. We are not enforcing the laws, we are administering the laws. Furthermore, we refer our forensic report to the Hawks because they are enforcing. And in terms of our mandate of administering and managing the law, we then refer some of those recommendations out of the forensic audit to those who are duly authorized to arrest and charge. We refer them to the Hawks, who continue to effect arrest or further prosecution. Therefore, for any person in this right mind to say that it has been years of inaction, that to me is a game of political point scoring, laced with half-truths and lies. Lastly, besides clearly pronouncing publicly against the VBS investments, municipal councils, besides being autonomous in terms of the law, were since directed by this office, previous office, to report to the public protector on the implementation of the regional elections on VBS. So we're now going to make it more of the election. Standing in this August House, I have no doubt that as the provincial government, we have done what is humanly possible to deal decisively with the previous cycle. Honorable members, Program 3, which is planning, coordination, monitoring, and evaluation, is responsible for governance, transversal policy, and planning coordination. This program has led the processes for the review and adoption of the Limpopo Development Plan. As you would know, the Limpopo Development Plan is designed to guide development across all spheres of government, including the private sector and civil society during the 6th term of our administration. The main thrust of the Limpopo Development Plan is to address persistent socio-economic challenges evident in the increasing levels of unemployment, deepening poverty and inequality. The plan thus introduces measures to strengthen integrated planning and delivery towards restructuring and growing the economy. In this regard, the Office of the Premier has been positioned to coordinate strategic catalytic interventions and provide support in ensuring alignment of the developmental strategic plans and municipal IDPs. Honorable members will remember that towards the end of the fifth term of our administration, the province regressed in terms of education outcomes, in particular between passport and water provision. As a measure of reversing this downward spiral in our performance in education, we have recently convened the Provincial Education Summit to deliberate on the necessary interventions. I am happy to announce that the summit has agreed on the holistic intervention plan. This plan was unanimously endorsed by all key stakeholders, including organized labor and labor organizations. I wish to call on all members of society to actively participate in the implementation of this plan. As I have committed last year, we have since finalized the transfer of early childhood development function from the Department of Social Development to the Department of Education. We have got no doubt that this plan will help focus more attention on improving the foundation phase of our education system. Honorable members, in terms of improvement in the provision of water to our communities, the Office of the Premier will accelerate the implementation of the Global Integrated Water Master Plan. We have since established water infrastructure working group with the objective of ensuring water provisions available for economic and social development throughout the province. We are very fortunate, honorable members, that we've got a minister who's very available, who's very cooperative to our strategies in the province, who operates in a very integrated manner, who understands integrated development in the sense that he's always on the ground, he's always with us, directing the processes, directing projects with us in the province. We don't just hear that there is a program or a project in Guyana, but there's a project somewhere in Malamulele where we are not involved as a province. The minister is active and his deputies are actively involving us in the implementation of this. And that is what we call integrated development planning. We are a government that values partnership with the private sector. We have thus established public-private partnerships through Premier's Economic Growth and Resilience, and the Impact Catalyst initiatives. PEGAC is comprised of experts from industry sectors such as mining houses, agriculture, ICT, and institutions of higher education, and offer advisory services to the Premier for the implementation of the Limpopo Development Plan. While the Impact Catalyst is comprised of Anglo-American, Exaro, Wealth Vision, CSIR, and SUTAI. The Impact Catalyst initiative is providing technical and financial support for the implementation of the Limpopo Development Plan. Indeed, honorable members, together we will do more, but together we can. Their contribution includes supporting catalytic projects in all districts, namely the SEZs, with specific reference to agro-processing projects, community primary health care projects in Mohammed Boywood gain funding, geospatial value chain analysis, tourism projects, as well as projects that embrace the fourth industrial revolution heritage. We have embraced the district development model to respond to a challenge with our President Mandela referred to as a pattern of operating in silence. We agree with the President that this challenge has led to lack of coherence in planning and in implementation, and has made monitoring and oversight of government's programs very instability. We have therefore incorporated the district development model imperatives in the development of our LDP development plan. So far, all districts have finalized their district development plans. We therefore urge all departments and municipalities to ensure effective implementation of these plans. Honorable Speaker, the provision of reliable and sustainable energy is a necessary condition of economic development and industrialization. However, the country has been experiencing a crisis with regard to energy production. Our observation is that we will not be able to achieve the LDP targets for economic growth and poverty eradication unless we address the energy crisis. I have therefore directed the Director General to urgently assemble a team of officials to develop provincial renewal strategy. Honorable Speaker, Keki Yama Elu, it is my honor to table before this esteemed House the 2022-23 budget for the Office of the Premier for Appropriation. The rate in the Shaka, you go into the
The budget speech for Book 1 is of the Females Affected the Portfolio Committee on Public Administration for consideration and report back to this August House. Thank you very much. 7.1.2. It is my honor and privilege, honorable members, to call upon the Honorable MPC for Department of Health to present the budget speech for 7 of the Department.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker in absentia, Honorable Premier, colleagues from the Executive Council, Honorable Chief Whip, Chair of Chairs, the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Health, leaders of the opposition parties, honorable members, fellow members of the legislature, the Director General of the province, together with all HODs present, the leaders of the religious community, and all the guests that are here. Dimachero, Absheni, Torela, Kuyemore, we come, Honorable Speaker, to this August House, galvanized by this government's priorities as outlined in the State of the Province address as delivered by our Honorable Premier, that Desde Chukuma. It was evident from the Premier's address that the province is still facing steep and daunting challenges on different fronts, and our portfolio as health is no different. In the same breath, we want to assure the people of Limpopo that no challenge is bigger than the ANC-led government. We shall overcome. As we proceed, let us be sure to strike a perfect balance amongst such imperatives as economic recovery, inclusive growth, saving lives and livelihoods, and creating a conducive environment for the people of Limpopo to live a long and healthy life. As Limpopo rises, Honorable Speaker, the Department of Health will be front and center in ensuring that health care needs of our people are catered for without fail, comprehensively, and without discrimination. COVID-19, Honorable Speaker, has taught us that without a healthy nation, economic growth, job creation, poverty eradication will remain a pipe dream. Hence, the time to start seeing health as an investment rather than as an expense is long overdue. We welcome the opportunity afforded by us to report on the achievements and future programs of the Department of Health in strengthening the healthcare sphere and accelerating the provision of healthcare services across the length and breadth of our province. It is important to report upfront that a considerable number of our programs we had envisioned has to be implemented has in the past previous financial year disrupted by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. However, despite such difficult circumstances, we must applaud the men and women in the healthcare sector who demonstrated resilience and innovation, resulting in us registering significant progress. We are confident that the next financial year, as the department learns to operate within the new normal, operating within COVID-19 as part of us, will allow us to operate in a better environment, addressing fundamentals and setting the department on an upward trajectory. Honorable Speaker, we take this opportunity to thank the people of Limpopo for not only accepting vaccination, but for their cooperation since the 16th of March 2020 when we registered our first COVID-19 case. Our pushback strategy, as led by the Premier and the Provincial Women Council, focusing on health promotion and disease prevention, has yielded the results. This including the successful phased implementation of the vaccination program, which helped us to curtail the severity of COVID-19 pandemic. Our province led one of the biggest vaccination programs in the country, which was easily accessible, and the accolades that were heaped on us are now common knowledge. To date, we have registered a total of 155,689 COVID-19 cases, and sadly, 4,574 of our people succumbed to this disease. It must be emphasized that the majority of these deaths that occurred prior to the vaccination program were people with comorbidities, and some of them were at advanced age. Those that occurred post-17 May 2021 when we introduced the vaccination program for the public were not vaccinated. We welcome and re-emphasize the call made by the Premier during the State of the Province address for all eligible citizens to get vaccinated and also receive the booster vaccines. I hope honorable members here have already received their boosters. Limpopo Department of Health implemented the vaccination program through a combination of primary vaccination sites located in hospitals and primary health care facilities, and the deployment of mobile vaccination teams. The mobile vaccination teams have vaccinated clients on various platforms, including our van, shopping centers, work settings, community halls, taxi ranks, churches, wherever there are people, vaccine sites and vaccination teams were deployed there. As of the 4th of March 2022, the Limpopo Department of Health had administered 3.1 million dosages of COVID-19 vaccines. This representing an adult first dose coverage, total coverage of more than 54%. Special appreciation goes to all those who are above 50 because they've long passed the 70% target of being vaccinated. Despite the implementation of the COVID-19 vaccination program, Honorable Speaker, the COVID-19 remains a substantial burden to the already resource-constrained health system. The COVID-19 virus continues to mutate, resulting in constant threat of emerging COVID-19 variants. Thus, it is predicted that South Africa will experience a fifth COVID wave in May and June 2022. Although majority of the experts predict a less severe wave, the threat of a more virulent COVID-19 variant cannot be disregarded. Therefore, we call upon all of us to make sure we join the Premier in calling upon all who are eligible to get the vaccine to go and get vaccinated so that come fifth wave, we are ready. Our immune system will have received the booster. Honorable Speaker, allow me once more to invite this August House in congratulating and thanking all our healthcare workers in the province who have made it possible for many of us to be still alive despite the brutality of the first, second, and third wave. As a province, our efforts in fighting the pandemic were even recognized this past week, Honorable Premier, by Minister of Public Service and Administration, Mayor Ayanda Dolo, during the 7th Batubili Annual Awards, where our very own physician, our head of internal medicine, Dr. Petru Mangena, spoke a gold award as the best doctor and physician in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. I'm sure he's somewhere around, but you know, dynamite comes in small packages. You might not see him. Honorable Speaker, the implementation of the 10-point plan strategy to accelerate the achievement of the 1999 targets was affected by the focus on COVID-19 pandemic. In some cases, the same staff that works with HIV and TB had to perform both functions. Having learned from the 2020-2021 financial year experiences that we regressed due to the focus and diverting all resources to fight COVID-19, we were able to develop, as a guidance by Limpopo AIDS Council, a catch-up plan which included integrating healthcare services. Hence, there has been improvements in the response to control the HIV and TB pandemics. To date, more than 350,000 clients on a quarterly basis were tested for HIV and where those who were ready to be put on ARV programs were. This represents a persistent achievement rate of more than 90% of the target of clients that are to be tested throughout all our borders. This performance is attributed to the improving number of people who are visiting our facilities and intensified integrated health screening activities, especially during the World Commemoration of TB, World AIDS Day 2021, where we hosted the Deputy President as a province. It is also attributed to the World TB Day 2022, where collaboration with funding support partners who conduct community-based testing. The prevention of mother-to-child transmission program is continuing to reduce maternal HIV vertical transmission. However, we are worried about having regress on this target. As at the end of December 2021, the program had a transmission rate of 1.0%. Of course, it's an improvement from 2020-2021, financial year, but it's a regression from 2019, where we were at 0.7%. When a pregnant woman and a breastfeeding mother interrupt treatment around delivery and during postnatal care, their viral load increases, and this puts the newborn baby at a risk of transmission soon after birth. Expectant and the new mothers need all our support, honorable members, that they can get from all of us in order to adhere to treatment if we are to see an HIV-free generation in our lifetime. It is for this reason that we have, as a department, moved towards elimination of mother-to-child transmission, and will be implementing some of the following to reduce this positivity rate. We are going to strengthen the universal test and treatment to all HIV-positive pregnant women, where mothers are initiated on treatment upon diagnosis. We are going to track all viral loads on all pregnant and breastfeeding mothers, so that we make sure that the viral load remains suppressed and, where possible, undetectable. Because if you do that, the pregnant mother or the breastfeeding mother will not infect the baby. No child in this day and age deserves to be born HIV positive, even if their mother are HIV negative. We are spending a lot of money and investment on this program. Linkage of pregnant and breastfeeding mothers to mental mothers and community health care workers to encourage treatment adherence. And above all, what is important, Honorable Speaker, is that our mothers need love and support from their partners, from their families, and from the community at large. So if you know you have impregnated a lady, and you should make sure that it doesn't stop with the day of conceiving, you continue supporting her through the entire antenatal clinic program, so that we test her for HIV. If she's positive, both you and her takes ARVs religiously. At birth, your baby will be HIV negative. That I can guarantee. The antiretroviral treatment initiations remained between 8,000 and 9,000 per quarter. The high loss to follow up led to the slow but steady rise from 380,000 in the first quarter of 21-22 to 404,506 at the end of the third quarter. To deal with this high loss to follow up, as a department, we are proactive in managing it by encouraging treatment support right at the start of treatment and investing more on adherence and counseling while we are implementing universal test and treatment. We are relentless, Honorable Speaker, in our fight against TB, which has been in the top 10 causes of death and the leading causes of death from single infectious agent, ranking even above HIV and AIDS for the past decades. More than 1.5 million people died last year globally as a result of TB infection, making it number 2 after COVID-19. That is why, as a province, we are also pleased that TB incidents in the province decreased from 203 per 100,000 population in 2019-2020, which was, we had an infection of 11,795, to 163 per 100,000 in 2021 and 2020. 2020-2021, the current financial year, where we had registered only 5,973. We must give credit to say a large number of this decrease. It's given attribute to the fact that we are all wearing our masks, especially in the public. Therefore, wearing of masks during COVID-19 does not only protect us from COVID-19, but this logically applies to all the reduction of any airborne infection. With the current decline in terms of the death as a result of COVID-19 and the relaxation of wearing of masks in the public, we must, Honorable Speaker, expect TB to reclaim its position as the #1 key. It is against this background that as a department, our focus will be on integrating TB screening into comprehensive healthcare screening, so that for both communicable diseases, these are your COVID, HIV, and STI, and your non-communicable, this is your diabetes, hypertension, and cancer disease, as part of the ongoing Checker in Kilo campaign. We are pleased to announce that 150 facilities diagnosed through the urine lab. In 2022-23 financial year, we are going to make sure all our facilities, whether it's a clinic or whether it's a hospital, they've got this urine lab. This is a more sensitive test to assist us, especially where we miss TB with patients with HIV/AIDS. During our 2021-22 budget speech, we made a commitment that we will procure 14 digital mobile X-ray. We are pleased, Honorable Member, that COVID-19 will not stop us. We'll be able to procure the 14 and they've been delivered and already commissioned to use in all identified hospitals. But however, we must raise our concern, which we discussed last year, that the continuous defaulting of TB is costing us a lot of money. Let me give a simple demonstration. When we were deployed by the Premier to go to Bembe District Makalo municipality where TB infection cure rate is very low, we did discover that 1,303 of our patients have been lost who were supposed to be on TB treatment. They usually take treatment for 2 months and then default. We started tracing them. We were able to pick only 412. The remaining 890 plus are still, we are still looking for them. Now what it means is that for us to treat one TB patient successfully, it costs us 1,587 rand. If you have got a normal TB for 6 months, it will cost us 1.5. If you default after 2 months, we start treating you with more multiple drug resistant TB with more drugs. It will cost us more than 112,000. Meaning this 412, whom we could have successfully treated with 633,000 beds, Honorable Squati is going to be fighting with us because we must now use 48 million just to treat the 400. So that is why, Honorable Members, you can't leave this to the Department of Health or to the Limpopo AIDS Council. TB becomes our problem, but these are the resources which we should be able to use in addressing other challenges that are facing the province. As a department, Honorable Speaker, we continue to invest the resources, including human capital, towards the reduction of the mortality and morbidity as a result of malaria. We have seen since ongoing reduction of malaria-confirmed cases. Honorable Speaker, we come from a painful past whereby, remember in 2017-18, as a province we registered 18,977 cases and regrettable 160 people died of malaria. Cases and death continue to decline despite nature continue to bless us with the abundance of rain. This is why I always say, thank God for his mercies. Sometimes we forget to do that. Instead we gloat and brag as if we do all these things as our wisdom. 2020-2021, we saw a further decline of malaria cases to 3,169 with only 16 deaths. We can gladly report to this August House that once more, malaria cases have even declined more further to only 1,881 with only 9 deaths up to so far for the 21-22 financial year. Even though 1 death is too many, but this at least is a step in the right direction. We are confident that these numbers will continue to plummet until we record 0 malaria-related death. The positive achievements, Honorable Speaker, is as a result, amongst others, our sustained community engagement, wherein we were able to increase the household spraying of malaria endemic from 1.023 million to 1.1 million houses for 21-22 financial year. 390 seasonal spray workers were employed for 21-22, and then this number is going to increase by 30 to 420 for 22-23 financial year. As a province, we were also innovating, learning from COVID-19. We trained our environmental healthcare practitioners so that they can go into households where, especially in the Bembe and Mbali district, they initiate malaria testing, and they also, if you are positive, before you even get sick, they are now allowed to prescribe treatment. Usually it's a professional nurse or a doctor who does this, but we've been able to get that approval by the Healthcare Professional Council. to treat uncomplicated cases at their home without going to visit any health facility. Accordingly, we have ensured that communities at risk of malaria are covered with indoor residual spraying, testing at household level, and receiving treatment from the comfort of their home. We are going to train our employees in the use of drones with a view of expanding our coverage to more discrete areas. Honorable Speaker, a successful healthcare system will be underpinned by zero avoidable maternal death, particularly in pursuit of our sustainable developmental goals. In the current financial year, as a department, we have reported the lowest maternal mortality rate ever since I've worked in this department, not just as an NEC, even as a dog, to 56.8 per 100,000 females. I still remember, Honorable Premier, during your administration, in the previous administration when you started, the maternal death was at 182 per 100,000 females. As a province, we're working that the pandemic, like it has done in many other areas of healthcare, we will regress in this progress made towards saving mothers and their babies. Interestingly, it did not. This is due to the innovation efforts of our obstetrician and gynecologists in supporting our medical officers and midwives through teaching, online seminars, and outreach visits. This has helped us to sustain the continuous decline in maternal death. These engagements, along with the implementation of maternal health standards, have helped us to improve the care of pregnant women to ensure a safe and healthy pregnancy. To this end, the department is committed to progressively improving the pregnancy journey of all women in pursuit of the better health outcomes. This did not just come cheap. Honorable Speaker, again, in our presence, we have one of our own subspecialists, Dr. Mwaba Nakara. He's a urogynecologist whom we have invested as a department, very young, and we gave responsibility. On Thursday, the 24th of March, he was also awarded a gold as the best innovator and researcher in the entire country during the 7th Battle Annual Awards. Dr. Mwaba is also another dynamite that comes in small packages. You might not see. Dr. Mwaba, Honorable Premier, has invented a technology app which he calls it Zavazile in obstetrics and gynecology specialty. This app empowers junior healthcare workers, especially in the rural areas, with knowledge on the go. During the hard lockdown, when we couldn't go anywhere, he had to be innovative on how he's going to teach the junior doctors out there so that pregnant women don't die when they are there to give birth. As a province, we are proud on investing in all these young medical professionals. Despite the fact that we have been patiently awaiting for this academic hospital year in, year out, they have not stopped from being innovation. But how do we do it? We have no option but find a way. The Zavazile has 4 distinct features: the protocols and guidelines, online pre-recorded videos, live word rounds, and live training sessions, and a referral app. This app was developed to serve the people, especially pregnant women and their unborn babies. Under normal circumstances, Dr. Mwaba, if he had like many of us, he would have been selling the app to the department. However, he has handed over this app for free for the people of Limpopo to use it so that pregnant women don't die because they want to give birth. And I've just discovered that the entire continent has now taken the app and they are using it. It is not surprising, as he is our current champion in the Limpopo Obstetrics Response Team, a project that seeks to improve maternal services in Limpopo. Hence, Minister Dollo could not ignore him, but she had to award him since he is the best amongst us. Honorable Speaker, nutrition in our hospital forms an integral part of patient treatment. It accelerates their recovery while shortening their hospital state, resulting in reduction of the general cost of healthcare services. It is for this reason that 43 food service units have been refurbished with the new food service equipment and are now implementing the centralized meal delivery service system, otherwise what we call plating system. We made an undertaking, Honorable Speaker, to expand our breast milk banks during our budget speech in 2021. We are proud to announce as a province that we now operate with 2 breast milk banks. In honor of May Charlotte Mathek, we celebrated her birthday in April 2021 by officially launching another breast milk bank for the people of Sekhukhune, named after her in Philadelphia Hospital, in addition to the existing Mount Bay breast milk bank. The breast milk banks assist newborn of those mothers who have trouble in producing milk and those who have been abandoned or orphaned during COVID-19, honorable members. When lactating mothers were admitted in ICU, this breast milk bank came in handy because we were able to feed their babies with breast milk, because no newborn baby must be denied access to breast milk, especially during their first 6 months of life. The bank relied on the goodwill of mothers who are willing to donate. So, honorable members, we encourage all mothers to come on board and enlist themselves as donors to help their newborn babies. Even wild animals, as long as it's mamas. So as human beings, why do we fail to donate breast milk and assist another newborn baby? Honorable Speaker, primary healthcare re-engineering remains our backbone towards successful implementation of NHI. COVID-19 impacted negatively towards our goal of achieving ideal clinic status. Budget cuts towards and diversion of resources towards COVID-19 depend on the crisis we are facing. Some of our clinics, which were operating 24 hours, regressed as a result of shortage of staff. Mainly our clinical nurse and practitioner, or at least a professional nurse with midwifery. Security in our facilities remain a challenge. As we learn to normalize living with COVID, plans to recover on these setbacks are at an advanced stage. The integration of our services, which will see us having COVID-19 vaccination becoming a primary healthcare mandate, will see us reducing expenditure since we will be incorporated within the expanded immunization program. The teams tasked with assessing the ideal status clinic will now be resuming their duties as they are coming from districts, provinces, and national. In terms of our EMS, despite the addition of new ambulances each and every year, the loss of fleet in EMS is far much greater in proportion than the addition. The majority of our ambulances have exceeded their lifespan and therefore technically not counted. In order to continue strengthening the EMS services, the department had procured 25 ambulances for the 2021-22 financial year. The department will continue to strengthen these services to the communities and will procure 35 EMS vehicles in the coming financial year 2022-23. We must, however, appreciate our roads infrastructure challenges, which contribute negatively towards the lifespan of our vehicles. Hence, the commitment that was made by the Premier during the beginning of the administration that every year we must continue to provide EMS vehicles. We will continue to honor it on the Premier and procure them. In terms of our medical equipment, to manage COVID-19 pandemic, the department had to invest and expand bed capacity, which included procuring appropriate medical equipment. While focusing on the ongoing pandemic, the intention remains to strengthen the healthcare system at all levels. To this extent, medical equipment amounting to 1.7 million was procured for 2020-2021. For 21-22, 190 million was used. Instead of building field hospitals on our Premier, as it was a norm countywide, the department, through your guidance, invested on strengthening the existing infrastructure, wherein we managed to add a total cost of 453 hospital beds, of which 266 were ICU beds, with 133 ventilators being procured, as well as 50 high nasal flow oxygen units. The availability of this equipment has not only enabled us to treat critically ill patients during the pandemic, but will also assist us to respond to any other burden of disease in future that will need these resources. I'm sure now honorable members understand why we were saying we can't build field hospitals at the stadium. The infrastructure that we have is going to assist us even in the future. Honorable Speaker, there was also a concerted drive to strengthen radiology. This includes our X-ray units in all our hospitals in the province. Digital X-ray units were installed in 7 hospitals, with computerized radiography system installed in all our 37 hospitals in the province. Whereas the patient used to wait for processing of their X-ray, digitalization has been able to improve the speed of development of X-ray films, thus contributing to the decrease in the overall waiting time. This is a revolution of our radiology unit. It has never happened. In the addition of the computerized tomography for the CT scans that were installed in the 2 tertiary hospitals, Petersburg and Mankweng, as well as our regional hospital in Tabach, Mukobani, Spokane district will be receiving its CT scan. It's going to be installed in St. Rita's Hospital during this 2022-23 financial year. The results of this installation will mean that all people in our district will no longer have to travel to Polokwane or Mankweng for them, some of them in comatose state, just for a scan. They will be done CT scans in all their districts. We remain relentless in our fight against cancer. To this end, we will be strengthening our oncology services with the installation of 5 mammograms. These are the machines that assist us to detect breast cancer in all our 5 regional hospitals. The women with breast cancer should be diagnosed early so that we can provide treatment aid. Since 2020, when the Premier invited Dr. Zivan in his State of the Nation of the Province address, our first locally produced oncologist, where we celebrated him, Honorable Premier, we can announce to you that we have indeed implemented your commitment when you said Dr. Zivani is just the beginning. In 2020 it was ahead. Today we must announce to this House that 2 more oncologists were produced in-house in Polokwane, bringing our oncologists. Honorable Speaker, mental health has become another pandemic. The current situation has been worsened by the impact of COVID-19. The loss of jobs, the fear of infection, fear of isolation and quarantine, loss of loved ones, the divorces that has happened has increased the level of depression to a stage where it has now begun to manifest itself by the increasing number of suicide cases in our communities. What saddens us the most is when this is increasingly younger generation that are supposed to be economically productive who are victims of suicide. It is against this background that as a department we have to be proactive and adopted a campaign under the theme, Be Kind to Your Mind. 2 districts, Mopane and Waterberg, have already launched this community approach towards dealing with mental health issues. Honorable speakers, honorable premier, honorable members, the people of Limpopo, I'm begging you, please, people who attempt or commit suicide are not selfish, but they have an illness and they need our support. Our mental health care practitioners are well equipped to can help them with coping mechanisms and also problem-solving skills whenever they encounter stress and other challenges in life. We are not the same. Some of us can deal with stress, some of us cannot deal. And even in this particular house, sometimes how we treat each other, I need to appeal to you. You do not know my genetic or biological makeup. You might think you are helping me, but you might trigger out and can go and commit suicide. No wonder what we saw Will Smith doing, because he was not aware of how the wife will take being really made fun of as a result of the wife's medical condition. He had to jump and defend the wife. Well, we don't promote violence, but that action, I think it came out of the fact that doesn't know how his wife will take it when a medical condition is made a joke on global television. So let's stop making fun out of each other. We don't know each other's strength in terms of mental health issues. That is why our campaign is also focusing on employees, especially operating in the stressful environment. For example, our security cluster, our police officers, our forensic pathologists, and our emergency medical services. These are employees who are first to arrive on the scene of brutally murdered people. When 7 family members in Lembe were killed, including children, it was these officials who arrived first. When people burn beyond recognition on N1 roads, these are the first people to arrive. When husbands and wives kill each other and the entire family, these are the officials that arrive first. So a business as usual approach to these employees' circumstances is not only dangerous, but counterproductive. That is why in most cases, we have seen police officers resorting to intimate partner violence before committing suicide. All the signs would have been there. However, we usually miss them because we are failing to be a brother or a sister's keeper. We sometimes fail to see signs because we are too busy chasing time. Since charity begins at home, we have spent 2 weeks with our forensic pathologists conducting this debriefing session. Honorable Speaker, it was done by a clinical psychologist, and some of our employees started coming out that they become alcoholics, and which they were not even aware. And this was as a result of what they experienced during our festive season. So this is going to be a continuous program as long as they render services. And our plan this coming financial year is to expand this program to our sister department, to say all the employees who are operating within this dangerous environment, they have to undergo through this program. And until such time, Honorable Speaker, wherein all of us are treating mental health care as a priority, like we do with other medical conditions, we'll continue to regret as a nation, starting with us healthcare providers. That is why on the 24th of February, as a department, we launched a year-long training of our mental health practitioners on mental health care issues. Let us remember, all of us have mental health care issues. We just differ with the degree. Hence, there is no health without mental health. Honorable Speaker, in 2016, Honorable Premier invited a young 15-year-old Junior Mkhombo to attend his State of the Province address. This was because you were writing history in our country. Firstly, since 1994, the country has never established a standalone medical school. Secondly, Junior was the youngest first-year medical student in the country. Today, we pride ourselves as a province that 47 out of the 60 students of the 2016 class have taken a Hippocratic oath and are now qualified medical doctors. Dr. Junior Mkhombo is part of those who are now doing internship across the different parts of the country. Once more, he also made history because he's the youngest graduate being a doctor at the age of 21. He was here the government here, it's fasted asleep. We have results. What do you need to talk? The journey towards this milestone was long, rocky, and exhausting. However, through your leadership, Premier, and the collective efforts of both the University of Limpopo and the Department of Health, we have made it possible. We salute this joint effort between the university and the department because training medical doctors requires 60% of the Department of Health and only 40% of the university and higher education. So we must guard this university jealousy. I must say, it must grow and it must prosper. Our commitment towards bringing specialist services to closer to the people did not only contribute to cost saving, ensuring that patients get desired medical intervention without traveling beyond the borders of our province, but also they are key toward training and teaching of medical students. You remember at some stage when we started, we had around 20 of the medical specialists. Today we are moving towards achieving 200. In 2017-18 financial year, we only had 39 registrars who were training to be specialists. Today, we've got 120 medical doctors who are training to be medical specialists. So we will not be traveling to Gauteng anymore as a province, as long as the ANC government is still in charge. COVID-19 pushed us into innovation, Honorable Speaker. During the hard lockdown, only emergency services were rendered in our facility, resulting in the serious surgical backlog. A rural province like ours, where in surgical backlog were low, even prior COVID-19, became a crisis, hence the birth of rural healthcare matters. To this end, the campaign will be converted into a service delivery model on specialist services, focusing on rural areas, because in terms of the ANC-led government, rural healthcare matters the most. The campaign managed to attract volunteer specialists from provincial hospitals, private sector, as well as specialists from other provinces and universities. This project enables us complex operations which would have waited for many months or years to be performed at the regional and district hospital. The Rural Healthcare Matters project has had a lasting impact on the lives of our people in the province. Since the 1st of April 2021 till Sunday the 27th March 2022, when we wrapped up our 2021-22 Rural Healthcare Matters campaign, more than 3,300 patients across the province have been operated, and therefore were given a reason to join all of us in commemorating Human Rights Month, because indeed health remains a basic human right. Honorable Speaker, it is very disheartening for us to see our people subjected to blindness due to a cataract, a simple procedure that doesn't take 15 minutes. And when a person is able to see again and live a quality life. It is also disheartening when we see a child growing with club foot, resulting in physical disability, and had to queue in SASSA as she or he grew up, while the procedure to correct it at birth is available. A 12-year-old had to drop out of school in Mubani because her breasts were too huge for her to get carried to school, and she has become a joke. When we received this story, it was touching. There are many young women who have to resign at work as a result of backache, chronic backache, due to large breasts. This Saturday, we operated one at Litaba Hospital who was crying when she woke up from theater and realized that 5 kg of her breast had been operated by one and only Dr. Lechongo. It's another dynamite that comes with small packages. Honorable Speaker, this does not have to be so. Elderly women, particularly in the rural parts of Venus and Mubani, are called witches and threatened to be banned because they develop cataracts. Honorable members, this country, that is the reason we will never rest, we will never sleep. As long as our people need us, we will continue with our innovation to make sure that our people receive a service which is just a basic human right, as dictated by the Constitution of our country. Hence, rural matters continue to matter the most. Honorable Speaker, following the delivery of the commitment that was made in this August House of insourcing the renal services from the PPP, Public-Private Partnership Project, we are embarking on the process to decentralize. This is another achievement of Dr. Miguel. We used not to have a renal unit. Now it is owned by us as Polokwane Hospital. We are now embarking, is now decentralizing together with the team, the renal services. We are starting with Mubani, followed by Bembe district. The reason is not Shumela Venda, I must clarify it upfront. The reason is because Bembe and Mubani have got the highest burden of disease as a result of renal failure. This project was delayed by the onset of COVID-19 pandemic. However, in the current financial year, a much progress has been started. We are going to see Chilizini and Litaba Hospital opening this year. It is expected that services will be launched in the first quarter of 22-23 financial year. Chilizini and Kitaba hospitals, we're going to use them as satellites that are going to cater for 48 and 36 renal dialysis patients respectively. The Mother-to-Child Center of Excellence, as announced by the State of the Province address last year, all our regional hospitals have received those upgrades. We must report to this House to strengthen the capacity to provide excellent mother and child services and intensive care. An upgraded 20-bedded ICU and pediatric ICU have been opened in Mukobani Hospital, and ICU also at Chilizini, 14 at the Dawa Hospital, and also owing to the disruption of COVID-19 and some of the politics within the locality, Philadelphia Hospital is ready now to open the 20 ICU beds, which will also be followed by St. Rita's Hospital, where 12 ICU and 30 neonatal beds are expected to be completed by the end of the first quarter. Significantly, the maternity upgrades at St. Rita's Hospital have been completed and they've been handed over now to the department. This will go a long way in complementing our efforts to fight maternal mortality. A comprehensive program to repair and maintenance commenced in 2021 financial year to address the recommendation by public protector and the flood damage at WF Hospital, Nobel Hospital. This will continue over 22-23 medium-term expenditure framework period to include the male and pediatric wards, kitchen, boilers, hospital entrance, stormwater drainage system, demolition of condemned building, and reorganize of the admin, X-ray, and allied functions in other facilities within the site. Work is already in motion to restore the burnt ward of FH Odenda in the maternity complex, repurposing of existing facility into clinical platforms, reorganization of the OPD and casualty to improve adequate space for patients, including our eye clinic, hospital entrance, and perimeter fencing. The comments and will be completed on the phase base, starting over the 2022-23 medium-term expenditure framework. Others, the Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure will update on them. While the rise of medical malpractice, Honorable Speaker, litigation is a global crisis, as a province we are worried by the current contingent liability standing at a staggering 14 billion. This has become a threat towards healthcare delivery in our province. We did a root cause analysis, which revealed, amongst others, lack of adequate skilled staff, equipment, poor attitude of staff. Honorable Speaker, we must, however, cannot rule out a possible collusion between government employees, be it state attorneys, be it Department of Health employees, with the plaintiff, lawyers, and senior counsel. A turnaround strategy was developed and is being implemented. The unit has now been reorganized completely, and we have strengthened it, and is currently being led by a medical specialist, a radiologist in qualification, who is also an advocate. I'm not sure whether in addressing him I should say Dr. Advocate Cedric Sitlano or start with advocate, but we will call him Advocate Dr. Sitlano. We do understand that there is a lot of vested interest on this matter. We are waiting with bated breath for the mooted legislative framework reforms that will see us closing this chapter. Because in this budget that I'm tabling today, there is no item that talks to that 14 billion. Meaning we must take money from your ARVs and pay this 14 billion. The painful part is that when we are litigated on our premium against as government, the bulk of the matter, which is supposed to go to future medical care, goes to the lawyers. For instance, if you are sued 55 million for cerebral palsy, the highest we have seen so far awarded for personal damage is 3 million. Meaning the rest, it's supposed to go for future medical care. And unfortunately, the reality on the ground is that the money doesn't go to future medical care. Because 2 weeks later after awarding, the baby will be brought to public hospitals for treatment. Is this not double dipping? It is not a same discuss. So our proposal is to say, instead of awarding 55 million, award that 3 million for damage, and the rest ask us as a state to prove that if this child needs future medical treatment, we will provide without fail. And that will reassure we can provide without fail. If we do that, we'll be closing the tap and you will not see this mountain bill. The ever-decreasing provincial department's equitable share allocation, Honorable Speaker, strengthen the argument that revenue collection has become the only alternative source to augment the budget deficit in the province. Through the implementation of revenue enhancement strategy and continuous support from provincial treasury, we are pleased to report in the August House that the department managed to achieve and surpass the target of the 56 million, by 56 million in the past 2 financial years, the 18-19 and 19-20. But the COVID pandemic, however, disrupted that momentum in the collection, resulting in the collection of only 90% of the revenue target in 2020-21 financial year. The impact of the pandemic further resulted in the reduction of revenue estimates for 2020-2021 financial year and the medium-term expenditure framework. Honorable Speaker, despite the pandemic that is still with us, the department is still optimistic with the revised strategy. It will collect 202 million for 2022-23. We will put more efforts to achieve this target, as we are aware that this will contribute to the funding of the healthcare services in our province. Services are still free at primary level, at clinics, mobile clinics, gateway, and health centers. Free services have also been extended for all COVID-19 related services for low-income groups, thanks to the ANC government, unemployed, and those who are not members of the medical scheme. We call on our community to visit these facilities for their well-being. But members of the communities who fall within the paying categories, like members who are sitting in this house, please pay. We urge you to pay when you visit our facility. We also need your revenue so that we can subsidize those who can't afford. We say assist us in generating maximum revenue, and we will assist you by providing quality of services. Honorable Speaker, we firmly emerge from the grips of the most devastating pandemics. We recommit ourselves to building a comprehensive and inclusive healthcare system capable of meeting the desired electoral, constitutional, and legislative mandates. We will do so mindful of the fact that we carry an obligation to bring into practical reality the dream of a long and healthy life for the people of Limpopo. We plan all this mindful that all competing priorities require adequate funding. With the budget cuts, the department will endeavor to stretch the rand to address all challenges facing us so that we can provide quality of care to our people. The coronavirus pandemic has significantly disrupted the whole range of our programs and delayed implementation of our foremost project in the journey to making public health more accessible, efficient, and effective. We need to move with exceptional speed in the vaccination program, particularly with the young people as our target. I'm grateful for the confidence, support, and guidance that we continue to receive from our Honorable Premier in making sure that we deliver quality services in our facilities and utilize our budget allocation prudently. Special thanks goes to my colleagues in the Executive Council for continuously support. Wherever we overlap, we've always been there. In our journey of COVID-19, all of you executive members, you did not leave this to the Department of Health. Led by the Premier, we traveled the breadth and length of this province to make sure that people of Limpopo will minimize the damage that COVID-19 will cause. A special thanks goes to the Portfolio Committee on Health for their robust strength and constructive engagement and continuous oversight. We will be making a mistake, Honorable Speaker, if we do not take this opportunity and convey our appreciation to the committee of the past tense, the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, for making sure that we pay attention to our blind spots. To the Treasury, let's continue to work together towards making sure we deliver healthcare to our people. Gratitude to our HOD, Dr. Thokozani Mukongo, and all her generals, not forgetting all our foot soldiers, from the men and women in blue at the gate to the men and women in blue at the mortuary, for your loyalty to this government and for the service of the people of the Limpopo. This budget should be a catalyst in ensuring that the Limpopo rises again to reach unprecedented levels. 2022-23 overall budget output has increased by 3.4% from 21-22. Main appropriation has decreased by 3.2% from adjusted appropriation. Equitable share decreases by 3.8% from the 21-22 adjusted allocation, whereas conditional grants declines by a further 0.6% from 21-22 adjusted allocation. The equitable share allocation includes an amount of 1 billion earmarked by the COVID pandemic. In monetary terms, the total budget decreases from a budget of 23.5 billion in 2021-22 to 22.7 billion in 2022-23. You can see our chart is up. The total allocation declines by an average of 4.4% over the MTF period. This is an indication that the department is continuously under financial constraints for the foreseen future. Honorable Speaker, I'm therefore honored and indeed privileged to table this to this noble House the budget vote 7 of the year 2022-23 to the value of 22.7 billion, which consists of 18.3 billion equitable share, 4.2 billion conditional grants, 231.6 billion all revenue. The budget is therefore tabled. Thank you, Napoleon.
The budget bill for Vote 7 of the Department of Health is referred to the Portfolio Committee on Health for consideration and report back to this very August House. Honorable members, as the presiding officer, I have the responsibility to maintain decorum and the precision of this House. It is in that context, honorable members, that we must at all material times be exemplary in the adherence of COVID-19 protocols. I therefore humbly request Honorable Sumara to take his designated seat. Thank you very much. Thanks very much, honorable members. We shall now call upon the Honorable MEC for Department of Transport and Community Safety, Honorable Rudi Namakanya, to present the budget speech for Vote 8 of the Department of Transport and Community Safety. Honorable members.
Honorable Speaker and the Deputy Speaker of the House, the Honorable Premier of our province, my colleagues in the Executive Council and the Leader of Business, the Chief Whip of the Legislature, Chairperson of Transport and Community Safety Portfolio, and all members of the committee, chairpersons of other committees, leaders of the opposition parties, HOD and the CFO, SAPS Provincial Commissioner, honorable members of the House, members of the media presence, and thousands of followers that are following us on social media platforms this morning. Honorable Speaker, a week ago, President Cyril Ramaphosa gave the nation hope when he announced a full set of measures that for the first time showed signs that our country was going back to normality after 2 years of harrowing pain brought about by COVID-19 disruptions. For the first time in 2 years, we have learned that we could now remove our facial masks while outdoors and public places as we begin finding our pace in living with COVID-19 as a vaccinated nation. This came as a relief to thousands of people who lost jobs and many whose businesses went under at the mercy of an invisible tiny virus that destroyed families and livelihoods. This year offers much hope, Honorable Speaker, than all the other 2 hardest years we have had. I've got no doubt that we stand a chance of great possibilities of normality returning in our province. As we come towards the end of the national state of disaster, it's going to be all system go for most sectors and industry in our province. The August economy is now open for business as we can now travel and trade the best way we know how. Although the virus is not fully obliterated, I'm confident that if tourism is open and stadiums and places of worship are receiving 50% of vaccinated people, this can only mean that the transport sector will be fully engaged to its full capacity. This is good news for our bus and taxi operators who are already struggling to keep their heads above water. As tourism gains a foothold and momentum in the country, we are encouraging the people of Limpopo and South Africa to make use of the safest mode of transport available between Polokwane and Johannesburg. The existence of the airport in Polokwane is solely reliant on customers, and through our engagements with the Limpopo Tourism Agency, we will market the airport to ensure that the facility is used to its maximum capacity to the benefit of the province. You will recall, Honorable Speaker, that the airport is now back in full operation after commercial activities were suspended early last year due to downgrade by the Civil Aviation Authority. It took the Gateway Airports Authority Limited, which is GAL, about 5 to 6 months to fix the identified risk, and as we speak, the airport is fully compliant and ready for the challenge. The department will transfer 73 million to Gateway Airport Authority Limited for the 2022-23 financial year. The funds are allocated to manage and maintain the operations of Polokwane International Airport and to sustain the airport license, even though it is evident that the allocated budget will not sustain all operation in the airport. We will, however, make sure that the downgrading of the facility and the grounding of flights does not happen. Honorable Speaker, public transport remains the backbone of our economy as a rural province where millions of our people rely on public transport to commute from their respective homes to their places of work. It is therefore imperative to ensure that we maintain the passenger subsidy program to ensure that our people are not sidelined from economic activities due to their geographical location. Buses and taxis are the common modes of transportation preferred by the majority of our people, and they will continue to receive support and empowerment from the department. An estimated 12 million passengers across the province benefited through the bus subsidy program during the 2020-2021 financial year, and this figure, Honorable Speaker, represents a total of 90,606 trips operated, covering close to 5 million kilometers. We are talking here about an average of 886 buses which were used to ferry commuters across the length and breadth of the province. The department spent an estimated 650 million on 26 subsidies contracts on the 2022 financial year, even though COVID-19 lockdown levels and public transport restrictions had a severe effect on all bus operators in the province. For the 2022-2023 financial year, the department has set aside an amount of 707 billion for subsidized services, even though the public transport operating grant has been reduced by 2 billion, which may negatively affect some services. From this grant, an estimated 15 million passengers will benefit through the passenger subsidy system during the 2022-2023 financial year. We continue to be proud that companies that are receiving government subsidies manage to create and sustain an average 2.3 permanent jobs on the form of drivers, dispatchers, administrative and financial clerical staff. The passenger subsidy program could be considered as an important catalyst for poverty alleviation, considering that the services are focused on low-income populations which are in rural areas where there is little or no economic activities. Scheduled subsidized public transport services provides low-income population with connectivity to places of employment and social amenities in ways that no other private sector organization can intervene. Honorable Speaker, furthermore, I'm pleased to reiterate the decision we took to appoint the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research to design the bus subsidy networks and service contracts in the province to ensure that subsidized services are equally spread across the province to ensure more effective and efficient service delivery. The CSIR has completed new contract document for the 5 districts in the province. During the 21-22 financial year, consultation with all affected stakeholders will commence in the 2022-2023 financial year, and the advertising of tender for new subsidy service contracts will commence in the 2022-2023 financial year. Route surveys and on-board surveys have been concluded, which indicates passenger demand. The department, with the approval of Treasury, extended the 26 bus contracts until March 2024 to provide sufficient time for the rolling out of the new tenders. Honorable Speaker, the department will continue on the 2022-2023 financial year to assist municipalities in establishing and resuscitating transport forums. The program was seriously affected by COVID-19 lockdown levels, and the transport forums create an important platform for industry and community participation in transport matters at a municipal level. The Limpopo Provincial Regulatory Entity. The provincial regulatory entity which monitors and oversees public transport in the province had 73 hearings in which they adjudicated on an estimated 2,600 operating licenses application on the 2021-2022 financial year. The entity will continue to conduct monthly hearings in all 5 districts in the 2022-2023 financial year. An amount of 2.7 million has been allocated to sustain the services of this very important entity. The department received and processed an estimated 15,000 operating licenses applications during 21 and 22 financial year. We will sustain operating license services in our 5 districts. It will continue to render part-time satellite services in Waterberg, Lupani, and Capricorn district to ensure easy access to services, and will sustain the satellite services at the Progress Dam, Coast Center, and Dilo Home traffic station. An amount of 38.12 million has been budgeted for the 2022-23 financial year to sustain the regulation of the public transport industry through the operating license administration system. The department, Honorable Speaker, has commenced with the process to address the unlicensed status of taxi operators in the province. An initiative will be rolled out within the provision of the current public transport legislation and transport plans to address the backlog on the issuing of new routes-based minibuses taxi operating licenses. taxi industry. Honorable Speaker, on the taxi industry, we have set aside funds on the 22-23 financial year to assist with the administration and management of the industry. The department is servicing, apart from the public transport services, 116 taxi associations with 7,789 registered members operating 10,690 taxi vehicles with operating licenses. We often experience conflicts in this industry due to various reasons. The inabilities brought by the interruption of public transport services have serious economic implications. The department will continue to sustain the multidisciplinary provincial taxi task team, which was established to address conflicts in the public transport industry. On Friday last week, we woke up to the closure of the R81 road between one of the North and Thornhill shopping malls due to taxi violence. We condemn with the strongest term the action by one association to disrupt economic activities because of their dissatisfaction on certain issues. Violence will not and has never resolved any problems. We are always open and available to engage with associations and their councils when the conflict arises. Notwithstanding last week's conflict, I'm nonetheless encouraged, Honorable Speaker, and delighted by the new spirit of unity and collaboration brought about the Taxi Maputa in the previous financial year. One of the key areas which the industry is seized with is to professionalize, and the commitment to this resolution is very full. We are currently facilitating workshops for the taxi industry with SARS and the Department of Labor to ensure that the industry complies with tax and labor laws. The industry that was at some point viewed as stubborn and not properly led is turning the tide to positive signs are showing everywhere. Just like hundreds of taxi operators countrywide, our own operators were given an opportunity to apply for the National Minister's COVID-19 Relief Fund for the taxi industry at the end of 21-22 financial year. We believe that they took an advantage of the window period and will be amongst the beneficiaries of the scheme. Honorable Speaker, under the transport regulation, the safety commuters and all road users continue to occupy a center stage in the work of our department. In the budget vote last year, we highlighted that we spent 12 million to acquire officials' vehicles. This was done for two reasons. First, for visibility, and secondly, for the reduction of road carnage. I'm here to report that we are able to achieve these objectives, though not to our highest satisfaction. Using the working tools, the department managed to decrease fatalities by 12.9% from 1,235 to 956 during the past financial year. This was attained through focused speed operation conducted to minimize accidents, drunk driving operations, and visible patrol deployments. We focused on the problematic roads identified by both us and the National Department of Transport based on the recorded accident stats. I also mention that the safety of our people is very key, especially learners who cross the roads to access schools. We introduced a safety program at the district level to ensure that the children, pensioners, and people living with disability, amongst others, are able to cross the roads with ease. The department has, through its EPWP program, managed to recruit 218 youth from the 5 districts and train them as traffic point duty officials. In this regard, 30 youth from Mupani are currently attending training at Limpopo Traffic College as we speak. In this financial year, the last batch of 32 youth will be recruited from Membe to make a total of 250. The inception of this program has resulted in a sharp decline of accidents involving pedestrians at designated crossing points where drivers were speeding due to non-visibility of officers. We are alive, Honorable Speaker, to the realities that communities are expanding and the need for point-to-two official is increasing. We will attend and address the need when it arises. The department continues to ensure ensure compliance at the license testing centers and vehicle test stations. This is also focused at keeping fraudulent issuing of driving licenses and vehicle roadworthy certificates. So far, the process of standardizing learners testing in the province is at completion stage, with the first 31 centers already fitted with a computerized learner's license testing system. At the moment, only Mapway and Judges groups are remaining, and the management of these centers have been engaged to ensure compliance of their facilities. In a bid to improve provision of services to the people, the department is intending to upgrade traffic stations into multi-purpose centers that will ensure inclusion of licensing services, which will also improve revenue collection for the province while reducing queues at the existing centers and slow service provided to the general public. Honorable Speaker, under SAP's oversight, the department will continue to perform its oversight function on the South African police services. We currently have 104 police stations in the province that we are continuously monitoring in terms of their compliance, policing standards, prescripts, and instructions. The department will also conduct customer satisfaction survey in relation to all respective police stations I alluded to. The department will further monitor the district commissioner's offices, specialized units, and subs garages. The head of provincial components will also be engaged to address findings from monitoring reports. The department will conduct a research project on investigating the implementation of the JCPS recommendation. The Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster Department is strengthening the criminal justice system of the Limpopo province. This research will examine the significance in which the JCPS cluster is held by the relevant departments and thereby assess whether the recommendations therefore are implemented or not. The study is important to ensure that the justice system of the province is reinforced through this integrated approach and the fight against crime and corruption is intensified. Honorable Speaker, the rate of crime perpetrated against women and children has gone out of control and it is a serious cause of concern. To that end, the department is facilitating an increase in visible policing, partnering with crime prevention structures to assist in combating the scourge. We are of the view that ongoing individuals led by SAPS, both at the provincial and national level, are assisting in the fight against gender-based violence and femicide. It is in these platforms where people are able to speak out and challenge the police to attend to the cases with agents. The department will continue to support community structures through their participation in the EPWP crime prevention through environmental design program. This program is yet at participants clearing and cleaning contact crime hotspots in the province. A total of 500 participants will be recruited from the community policing and safety structures, that is 100 from each district. A budget of around 2 million received from the integrated grant will be used for this very important program. In the year under review, contact hotspots being identified, debushed, and cleaned across the province. As part of contribution to youth development in the sector, the department will recruit 300 participants from the youth against crime participants from all police stations. Other members from the patrollers will be youth councils from municipalities who will also be patrolling side by side with SAPS in an endeavor to heighten police visibility and make inroads in problematic areas. A budget of 33.7 million has been set aside to procure uniform and payment of stipend for this project in the 22-23 financial year. The allocated budget is not much, but it will go a long way in rooting out crime and other social ills in our communities. The department, Honorable Speaker, will closely monitor the implementation of the Limpopo prevention strategy during the 2020-25 medium-term framework. In partnership with SAPS, the department is continuing to work together with the community structures such as the Community Policing Forum, the Community Safety Forums to assist in the fight against crime. The cooperation and assistance we are getting from the community structure is overwhelming, and I can say without a shadow of doubt that most of our successes are as a result of their hard work. We take pride in the results of the good work that our dedicated volunteers are doing in villages and townships in our town. This year marks 5 years since we relaunched both CPFs and CSFs in the province, and we are at that juncture again where we need to meet and renew the mandate. We are going to relaunch 28 CSFs and 110 CPFs around the province, and also take responsibility to ensure that the new structures are capacitated to carry their tasks diligently for the benefit of the communities. The department will also continue to assess the functionalities of these structures on a regular basis. Honorable Speaker, 21-22 financial year, the Department of Transport and Community Safety conducted 5 initiatives to educate communities about domestic violence and gender-based violence. Due to limitation of COVID-19, these initiatives were conducted in densely populated areas such as malls and taxi ranks to interact with as many people as possible, as opposed to bringing people in an enclosed venue for better interaction. In the current financial year, the initiatives will be focused on capacity building sessions with SAPS members responsible for implementation of the Domestic Violence Act, Sexual Offences Act, and related legislation. This is to ensure that SAPS members improve on compliance, especially when dealing with victims and administration of these cases. This is done to avoid secondary victimization of the victims and failure to secure conviction due to poor investigation. The department has established a Domestic Violence Act Compliance Forum which focuses on improving SAPS compliance. The Compliance Forum is also busy with poor performing stations and detectives to ensure compliance and untimely to secure successful convictions in GBV and femicide-related cases. We will continue to attend to service delivery complaints against SAPS and ensure that they are resolved within 30 days. This is a mechanism to transform SAPS to be reliable and dependable institution. The public is aware of the right to complain and to hold any official accountable. We have established a complaints management desk at provincial and national UBSOs to register grievances. This is in addition to complaints received through walk-ins, premier and presidential hotline. To ensure improvement on the side of the police investigation, the department is conducting court watching brief at 60 magistrate courts per annum. We do this solely to assess the reasons for case being withdrawn or thrown out of court. Where findings indicate poor service conduct or action, the cases are submitted for re-investigation and action is taken against affected members. Honorable Speaker, the twin challenge of poor skills and youth unemployment remains serious problems in our country that require us to address through extraordinary measures. In this regard, I'm delighted to announce that in this financial year, we'll get 20 students mainly from the TVET colleges and an opportunity to put their theory to practice. Students with mechanical engineering related qualifications will be placed as interns through a workforce integrated learning program at our government garages. We'll also be recruiting for traffic law enforcement leadership to close the increasing vacancy gaps created by various factors including COVID-19. This will indeed be a life-changing experience for many of our young graduates and those aspiring to be traffic law enforcers. To our youth, always know this: what you think you become. Nothing is impossible if you are hungry enough to desire to achieve your goal. Everything you need is already inside you, so just do it. Honorable Speaker, the Department of Transport and Community Safety remains the biggest contributor to revenue collection in the province. I say this looking at my colleague, the MEC of Treasury. At the end of 2020, the department collected 651,954, which is 10% above the target of what we have put. In the current financial year, as at the end of February, the collection rate was already 99% of the annual target. The department will meet the target for the current financial year and also exceed the expectation. The department has the potential to over-collect by bigger margins, but the impact of COVID-19 negatively affected many businesses. As a result of this, we therefore anticipate to collect 717 in the 2022-23 financial year. The total budget of 22-23 is 2.3 billion, Honorable Speaker, which I present this morning, which shows an increase of 1.6 compared to 21-22 budget. And the 23-24 budget is 2.4 billion, which is an increase of 2.9. And 2.4 billion in 2024-25, which is only 0.9 increase. Included in the budget is public transport operation conditional grant allocation amounting to 422 million in 22-23, 440 million in 23 and 24, and 460.7 million in 24 and 25. That is for the grant. The revenue, the department contributes almost 47% of the provincial revenue through traffic functions. The department is projecting to collect 717.94 million in 22-23, which will increase as each year by 23-24 and 24 and 25. Honorable Speaker, as we get on with our task of implementing this budget and making a difference of the lives of our people, I wish to thank the transport and community stakeholders, the public who one way or the other we serve or they participate when we implement our budget. I wish to thank the acting HOD, Member Auzi, for steering this ship to calmer waters. I further wish to thank her management team and all officials for making us to achieve success in the past 2 difficult years. The 2 successive clean audits that we received in the last 2 financial years are a feather on our cap and a good testimony to the hard work and perseverance we endured as both the Office of the MEC and officials in this department. There is no magic, Honorable Speaker, or miracle in achieving this feat. What we have discovered while we were traveling on this road is that the harder we work, the more focused we stayed. Thank you, Acting HOD and your collective team. Thank you to the staff of the department and the staff in my office for your commitment. Thank you to the Provincial Commissioner of Police and the heads of the JCPS cluster departments. And thank you to all our traffic officers, contravention officers, and the heads of stations for being good public servants that you are. In you, we know the true taste of the meaning of services. I want to thank the Office of the Premier for the continuous support to us as a department. My colleagues, MECs, our department crosses paths with you, and we work, the department will continue to do bilaterals, and this helps us to deliver services. I also want to thank the chairperson of the committee and all members for the continuous support through questions that they always ask. The site visits that they do to our facilities, it keeps us on our toes because we understand that we have to be an accountable department. I want to also thank the House under the stewardship of the Honorable Speaker for the support and understanding, and when we are too fast or too slow when executing our work. Honorable Speaker, as indicated, our budget this year is as follows. The administration is 599 million, transport operations is 916.1 million, transport regulation is 787 million, police and secretariat and police services is 62.3 million, and we present today a total budget of 2.3 billion. The economic classification is as follows, Honorable Speaker. Compensation of employees by 1.1 billion, goods and services 393 million, transfers and subsidies 799 million, payment for capital assets 66 million, and that is what brought us to the conclusion of the 2.3 billion that we present this morning. I wish also to wish all the members of the House safety as we start to prepare for our own Easter preparations and holidays. Honorable Speaker, I also want to say, lastly, let me thank my family, especially my children and my grandchildren, who continues to be my strength each day, understanding the work and the time that I'm always away because of the work that we have to do. Let me thank my God and my permanent angel, Dr. H, for continuous strength and watch. I started this day, Honorable Speaker, with the two people who are enjoying their birthday today, and they transferred the happiness that I'm bubbling with this morning. That is my office spokesperson, Marina, and our honorable member, Caroline Mahasela. I say to them, happy birthday to you. I thank you, your everyone.
Thanks very much. We also want to seize this opportunity on behalf of the presiding officer to extend and express our proper sense of gratitude to Honorable Mahlodi Caroline Mahasela on the occasion of her birthday. Happy birthday, Honorable Member. Let's proceed with the business of the House. Are there any announcements, members? Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party, Honorable Konyaka. You can come here, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chief Whip. I want our wives and the leaders so interested in the
outside.
Thanks very much, Honorable Chief. The announcement was that Alutobamu, the Tasapari Alagamundi. That was the message. Honorable members of this August House, let me take this opportunity to thank you for your cooperation today. As the civil presiding officer, this House is adjourned to Thursday, the 31st of March 2022 at 10 hours in this, the War Home Legislative Chamber. The House is adjourned.